As someone who didn't know Jesus her whole life until a year ago, as someone who thought God's word and way were so strict and just absolutely nuts and controlling, I want to shine light on things I didn't actually understand until after I came to Jesus. I didn't have all of the answers. I was absolutely terrified to step into my faith because I knew that changes were supposed to happen and I was afraid that I wouldn't change. But it actually is completely out of your control what changes and when, as long as you fully surrender. The day of what ended up being the evening of my coming to Jesus moment, I was stressing, bawling my eyes out to my best friend, who is a whole Bible believer and constantly pursuing God in the most inspirational, intimidating way, as someone who at the time was a not quite believer. But she poured love into me over these questions and concerns and hesitations, essentially telling me that they were limiting beliefs, just preventing me from accepting Jesus into my life and just allowing the transformation to happen. And that is something that you can't comprehend until you just decide, okay, I give it all. And then eventually, maybe not even long after, the changes will come. And something that I really couldn't understand, and it almost would make me extremely uncomfortable to try to comprehend this concept, was loving God first, foremost, and above everybody else. And I thought that was so bizarre. I'm like, how is that possible when I don't actually know him? What about your spouse or significant other, your family? Like, how can you put God above all of that? But what happens is when you start to realize, as your relationship grows with God and you realize that he's always there, he doesn't leave us. Sometimes he's quieter than others, maybe if he's testing you, but it's all out of love. He's constant, he's consistent, he doesn't leave, he doesn't hurt you. And though you may go through storms and seasons where life feels really rough and challenging, he is always there. And that is a love God gives to us that is unmatched by anybody else in your life, because as human beings, we aren't capable of that type of consistency or depth. So when you finally experience God's love, it all kind of starts to make sense. But as someone who didn't believe their whole lives, and then once coming to Jesus a year and change ago, my life has drastically transformed. I have drastically transformed, and it is work that only Jesus is capable of, because I have been pretty self-aware of my personal growth and development for most of my adult life, but the type of work Jesus does on you is not possible on your own. And this is a piece of my journey that I really want to dive more into, so I'm going to make this a series. But I truly want to be here to help those who haven't even stepped into their faith but are curious, hesitant, and intimidated by it. I want to answer your questions. I want to be that support system because I've been there, and not that long ago, and I was never raised a believer to any extent. So if you have questions or this series is intriguing to you, please continue to follow along because there's going to be more.